Testing 1, 2, 3. Should be unlisted. Here we go. Ay, ay, ay. Ay, ay, ay.
They do, baby. Yeah.
Ay, ay, ay. Ay, ay, ay.
But I wanted to do hood rat stuff with my friend.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I wanted. Let's go.
Well, you're sorry, hug with me.
Let's go.
It doesn't matter what your
It don't.
name is.
It really don't. It really don't. Boom. Let's go. All right, y'all. This is the second attempt. YouTube has changed pretty much everything in their control center. I had it all set up, put quite a bit of time and thought into this thing. But those of you that were checking for it probably aren't checking for it any longer. Hey, someone's in here. All right, I see you, Tony. Hey, I saw you in the first one, but I thought I was live. I just went live for like 15 minutes and then realized like, yo, it's not live. But man, it was, anyway, YouTube has changed the whole control panel over the summer. And so I'm like, hey, Tony, I'm like, what's up, y'all? What up, y'all? And I'm like, I see a couple of you in there. And then you guys were like, all right, peace, peace. And I'm like, hey, say something. Can y'all hear me? And then I realized, and I'm like, damn. So my bad, man. But hopefully the change for YouTube, because YouTube's kind of a pain in the butt with these linking to OBS. What up, what up? But I was like, damn, I thought I rambled for like 15 minutes. I put quite a bit of a setup into this thing. Nah, man, I've been here ready to go. But again, it's a whole new thing. Hopefully, again, it'll be for the better. But it didn't. I tried to have it scheduled and then it wasn't going and it wanted me to preview my own video and all this shit. But anyway, you know, I'm glad to be here. It's been a minute. I think the first thing that I addressed was the Kyrie KD thing. I got some reps in with that. That's what I talked about. But the concept of this was I did a whole team preview. I scripted it out. I wrote it out. And I decided, hey, you know what? Let me go live and get some feedback and some questions. So I have like my takes on each player and the concepts. And then I kind of, you know, if those of you that are tuning in and stuff, throw some questions at me or your takes to interact, because I think it's always better. That's the wave now. And the narrations are cool, but sometimes, man, it's more energy to do it this way, right? But anyway, Kyrie.
Go get the strap.
It's already started. What up, Zach? What up? Yeah, no, I would not. Yeah, not yet. It's too early to be slumped too early, Tony. I want to watch the Spence fight. I was up super early. My girls' club teams have me going across the city at 8 a.m. But I guess that's complaints of a man that works from home, right? But so the Kyrie thing, man. The Kyrie thing. He's already getting in his own way. And it's already clear that Kyrie is taking the alpha role. I said this was going to happen, right? It's already Kyrie's like speaking for Durant. I'm here to protect him. That like he's my guy. K. Everybody knew K wasn't ready, you know, but I'm never going to let nobody bust K cheeks. That's my job. All right, I'm getting a little damn, James, you stuck at the gate. Okay. That's what's up, man. I'm glad that I could provide a little something here, a little interaction. But the Kyrie thing, man, it's too much, bro. Because if Kyrie was as smart as he thought he was, he would understand. He would let Durant take the alpha role, right? He had no choice with LeBron, but treat Durant like LeBron. That's what he wants. But I'm not gonna be. We're gonna have plenty of material with that all season long. I will say this, and I don't say this taking any pleasure. I do take pleasure in getting at Kyrie and himself. He does it to himself. He does it to himself like Plaxico, right? That's an old reference right there. But KD, if you look at all the media shooting all that, he just looks sad, man. You watch his presser, he just looks sad. I don't think I saw him smile, right? You know, he just looks sad, man. And it's understandable. Rehab process is never, a fun one. But, I don't know, man. I don't know that. And seeing DeMarcus have to take his photo, I didn't like that, man. But anyway, and to be honest with you, again, I'm trying to work out the kinks with the new YouTube setup and the live. So I'm glad that I'm doing this. And I worked out that first kink of even understanding how to start the damn stream. But what I'm going to do is I'll play these graphics. Hopefully they jump off safe and they work smoothly. But I won't front. I'm kind of testing it for the season ahead, that if I can incorporate these graphics and get it in. So I'm going to go player by player, get my take. I want y'all's feedback and take, and we'll just do this thing. So the first one is this.
The other quote that caught a lot of people's eyes is he said, the motion offense we run in Golden State, it only works to a certain point. He talked about it working for the first couple rounds of the playoffs, but not as much after that.
Well, I don't even care what plays we ran. We won 2 championships.
Okay. We know Steph well enough to know, like, he said everything without saying anything, right? Like, he feels the type of way, and he should, right? He should. Looking around like, I don't know. And everything he asked him about Durant, he was like, right? He told us without telling him because he's got finesse and he's smart, right? Kyrie. The smart money's on Steph to win the MVP. The smart money's on Steph to win the MVP, right? But I am concerned of pride and the national narrative. Like, at what cost? Now, I think it should naturally occur that he's just atop the MVP race because I think we'll win enough, and I think he's going to have to do enough, right? But it's just like, we don't want to lose sight of the big picture. And Kerr and Steph, they all say that, and they know that. But when you're in the moment, it's easier said than done. So I actually think that my prediction for Steph is that we're going to see his highest assist total or number average of his career, right? And you say, well, that's kind of weird, right? No Clay, you take off Durant, he should be giving us 35 a night, right? But I just don't see, I think given the roster, Cauley Stein, Looney, more aggressive, Draymond, I'll talk more about his shooting here soon, and the heavy pick and roll offense that I think we're going to eventually see, it's going to naturally lean that way. Don't get me wrong. Steph's going to give us 28, 30 because that's what he do. He's the chef. But I think we're going to see his assist total at like 8 and 9. And I think he's going to be in the mix. Now, the one thing that I wanted to point out, I wanted to think of something also like that I'd like to see him get better at, right? And everybody's pointing to, it's great that D'Angelo is around Steph, being around, and it is. It's a great thing for him to learn from because their skill set is similar. But I think something that Steph could take from D'Lo is that bounce pocket pass. And D'Lo, that the way he operates in the pick and roll, I think I'd love to see that. We all know Steph loves the over-the-head hook pass. It's just not as efficient, man. It's just not as efficient. So I'd like to see him do that. Right. I think he's going to be there, but at what cost? And then the other point that I think is interesting is Steph, since the existence of this team, really, since, this championship caliber team under Kerr, I'll put Kerr as the marker. He's always been the player that we're looking to hide defensively. Right. And now I'm not so sure that it's going to be Steph. I don't think he's going to be afforded that luxury with D'Lo in the backcourt. What up? What up? I'm happy y'all are hopping on here, man. I had a mess up, man. All right, Tony. I appreciate you. I appreciate you. But my point is that I'm not so sure that we shouldn't be hiding D'Lo defensively because Steph's come a long way. I know I like to pick on him defensively, but he's gotten stronger. His team defense is good. And when he wants to dig in, he's good enough, right? Where D'Lo, I think, has a further way to go. But I also wonder, how much do we have to, because D'Lo's 23 and perhaps we're not as attached to him moving forward, and we'll talk about that in a second, do we just allow D'Lo to take his lumps defensively and still treat Steph like we have and let him, kind of hide on the lesser offensive player? What up? What up? Okay, we got a nice 30 people in here, so 32 people. And so Go ahead now and shoot. If those of you, I know you guys are kind of jumping in here, and my format is I'm going to go down each player and kind of give you my quick thoughts before the season. And then one of the reasons I want to do this live was I could get a couple takes, or if I missed something. If y'all got a question about Steph, now's the time to ask, or even a take, man. I love to hear different takes, man. That's the key to it. One of the things I want to do this season is sometimes I'm so exhausted by like watching the games, taking the notes, editing, giving my take. Like I don't even want to hear other takes, like at least nationally. But I understand that it fleshes out and it makes me think better about other things. So, okay, you're saying Giannis but Giannis, I'm thinking now, Giannis won the MVP. That's what makes Steph's back-to-back so crazy is it's very hard, right? It's very hard just because of, right, that storyline evaporates. You have to go above and be something crazy has to happen. You have to have something crazy happen because the storyline. Milwaukee, yeah, I mean, they're going to be there. I'm trying to think who else the other MVP candidates. I think the load management with the Clippers. I think LeBron is thirsty for it. I think LeBron is kind of in that Aaron Rodgers situation right now, looking at Pat Mahomes, right? Like LeBron, I think, is thirsty for it. He and AD, are they going to split votes? You know what I'm saying? Jokic. I'm trying to think who else is going to be a power. I'm not. I've been piping up Donovan Mitchell. But I'm not ready to put him in that conversation. All right. Well, if y'all, I mean, Steph is Steph. So if y'all don't have any take or anything that I left out on Steph, I will jump into the next. Here we go. Here's a couple things. Maybe let me see here. Okay, James. Steph being put at number 10 all time, Kobe at number 14. Okay. And I know so there was also, I don't think it's the same list. I think the other one was the ESPN, and they put Clay. What did they put Clay 49th or something? And then Zion ahead of him or something like that, right? The one thing that we have to realize here, it's clickbait, right? The key with making lists is to make sure and I'm not saying to do that, but this is their concept, I think. You make some rankings that are, again, like clickbait, that are sure to upset people or perk people up. Like, whoa, that's kind of outrageous, right? And so it gets your list to make headlines. And all of a sudden, everybody is talking about your list because they put Zion ahead of Clay, or they put Steph, And that Bleacher list, I have to look at it. They put him up in front of Kobe. I think they're in the same area, right? I think Steph means more to the game. He's done more for the game, right? But I think the fucking legend of Kobe is special that puts him there too. He has the accolades, and then just the mental, like the stories that come out of what Kobe did. You know what I mean? At least for me, I value that too. But I have no problem with Steph being ahead of Kobe. I don't. I haven't seen that whole list. But as far as the ESPN list, we're getting trolled, right? They purposefully put people too high or too low to get people talking about their list. Yeah, that's that. And Prince, that's the question is with Steph, right? Like the load, because now you could say right now, like pound for pound, Steph is a better defender than D'Lo, but do we want him guarding Dame and Russ and all these dudes? Even though he's better than D'Lo, let's just let D'Lo take those punches. If we can, though. It's very interesting. It's going to be very interesting these first 20 games, man. It's going to be very interesting these first 20 games. Right, based on, exactly, I know, because Clay, right, I understand that. They put someone else high that's hurt as well. They put KD high on that list. So they got to keep the same energy, right? Yeah, it has been a slow. That's why preseason starts like the 4th or 5th of October, man. So, we're going to roll those out. We got a bunch of games against the Lakers. Even preseason, because usually you guys know that have been with me a while, I don't cover all the preseason games. But this year, man, like now we have like roster spot battles and rotation battles. Everything the last 4 years has been set in stone. Now, besides like the first 4 players, the dude's going to be battling, for minutes and positions. So Kerr said it himself. It's the most important training camp of his tenure, right? So I'm looking forward to it. All right, let's move into D-Lo, baby. D-Lo. I'm trying to come around. I'm trying to come around on him. I've said this maybe before. This is a broad statement, but he is probably the best passer that any of these guys have played with. He is probably the best passer that Steph, Draymond, all these guys. Now, one of y'all may catch me. Oh, Alec Burks played with LeBron for a month or something. I don't know. But even there, that is his elite trait: his ball handling, creativity, and passing. And there's a lot of nuance to passing. There really is. Like the way the ball spins to the guy. Like it's football season now, so I'll relate it to like a catchable ball, right? Like Kaepernick, he had a cannon, right? Peyton Manning, was super cerebral and smart. But one thing about Peyton in his prime was the ball was super catchable. And it made guys with good hands look like they had great hands. And guys with bad hands have acceptable hands. And that's kind of what D-Lo has with the passing. It's when, it's where, and it's how he gets you the ball. In rhythm, he's got every pass in the book, and his timing is immaculate. And it's just catchable, specifically on the lob passes. I forget his first name, Afro Samurai, they're big, Allen, and Harris. I promise you right now, Harris, their shooters and their bigs, their percentages are going to go down in Brooklyn this year playing with Kyrie. I promise you that right now. A part of their success from the three-point line and some of those guys breaking out, a nice portion of that was how well D'Lo moved the ball in his passes. And now our role players are going to reap the benefits of that. Kyrie, yeah, he has gravity, but he gets it to you on his time. It's not accurate, right? And it's plan B 90% of the time, where D'Lo, it's not the case, man. And so I'm excited to see, again, all these dudes play with a prolific passer, because Steph, let's be clear here. Steph, we've never seen gravity like Steph's. And he is nice with the left hand. Like, he's not a bad passer, but I wouldn't consider him a great passer, just because how can he be? If you're the world's greatest shooter of all time, how much can you really refine your passing? You feel me? But so I'm excited for that. I think the biggest question with Kerr and D'Lo is, like, how much of a leash is he going to get, right? Because Kenny Atkinson's, they held him accountable. And that's something that in my research of him is something that kind of needs to happen. And he's matured. But if you look at their roster, Dinwiddie, Harris, and then LeVert, I know had the injury, but he came back late. Atkinson had the luxury of pulling D'Lo out in meaningful minutes at ends of games, playoff games, regular season games, and sat him down when he didn't feel what he was doing, if he was getting too loose or whatever the case may be. And I'm just interested to see if Kerr is going to do that, and if he's able to do that with Klay out. That basically means one of these young dudes has to step up and contribute in order for Kerr to do that without it costing the team wins. Now, is Kerr willing to sacrifice wins early to hold him accountable and prove a point? I don't know, because then you flip that around and you say, do we want to hurt his trade value? I know some of you don't want to hear, shout out my guy Major, but some of you don't want to hear, that he could be traded. But we have to at least acknowledge the fact that, like, let's say Kerr's not feeling him. This is, in knock on wood, like I think it's going to be pretty damn good. But let's just say he's blowing defensive assignments, or he's not doing what they like, and Kerr's playing him like less and less. His minutes are down to like 28 a game. One of the rookies is playing well, right? Is there a point where Bob or Joe show up in Kerr's office and they're like, hey, man, like, you know what I'm saying? We want to move him, but we can't have him being pulled out the lineup. These type of things happen. And so that's going to be interesting, man. And then again, is he willing to take the challenge defensively? Neither of them are stoppers, but is D'Lo going to knuckle up and be like, Steph, I got whoever the elite guard is. You chill, old man, right? I don't know. I'm just joking around, right? But that's going to be an interesting thing. And I think just keeping an eye on the Kerr-D'Lo relationship, the minutes, the leash, the freedom is going to be real interesting. Prince asking if we had to trade him, who would we want to get? I've thrown out Ben Simmons. The rumors of Aaron Gordon, the Bay Area native, right? I don't know, man. I think that every team goes into the year kind of happy with their roster somewhat. I mean, they know where there's some weaknesses. Every team, don't get me wrong, every team is looking to get better. But, right, the first 20 games usually has to play out to see, because, you know, they want to believe that guys have gotten better. Where guys were weaker, they've gotten better in the offseason. So, like, Orlando, for instance, is probably thinking, well, AG, you know, he's taking another step and it's going to fit. Fultz is going to work in the backcourt and we don't need D'Lo, right? At least that's the positive thinking going in. But 20 games in, you know what I'm saying? It might be different, and then teams start to reevaluate, right? Minnesota had been interested. Orlando has been interested. And then the Philly thing is kind of crazy, but I just think it fits so well. He's a perfect pick and roll partner for Joel. Jam, there's absolutely a world. I know. That's why I was shouting on my guy MP because he's killing me. We're jumping to conclusions. There is a world where he stays. There is a world where think I don't know how old you are, but 23 to those are prime years of maturity. Now, a lot of these NBA kids have arrested development because of the lifestyle they lived. Right? They're not normal kids. So everybody's different. But there's absolutely a possibility that he really vibes. I think him and Steph's personality are going to vibe better than he and KD's, right? They're both kind of looser, more fun, more transparent. And so, yeah, there is a world where they vibe and it's working, right? And it's working. After doing the Draymond piece I did, the Tools of Draymond, I forget what I named it, but, and the more I think about it, like I've come to appreciate Draymond even more. I've undervalued Draymond even more, right? Or more than I haven't valued him enough is what I'm saying. But that being said, like if D'Lo worked so well that like Draymond no longer is like a hybrid forward because the ball's either in D'Lo or Steph's hands, and then they're looking, I don't know, you know what I mean? But yeah, I think there is a world for sure where he could work out. I'm just. Again, when I went back, and if those of you went back and saw the doc piece that I did on him a couple weeks ago, it's just some of the things, I don't know, man. I don't know. I think the main thing to watch is Kerr and Draymond. And I'll be pointing them out in my breakdowns, the little interactions and timeouts and stuff like that. But I want to see how Kerr and him get along and how him and Draymond get along. I think that's going to be key. I think Draymond empowering D'Lo is going to be key. Letting D'Lo know, like, we believe in you, do your thing, right? Don't be, but at the same time, he needs tough love is what I've seen in the past. Yeah, we don't want no A. Wiggins around here. You seen him hitting, you see on Twitter, you go on Twitter and they show a video of him in a gym hitting a step back three and people are like, oh, hey, Wiggins going to average 30. Hey, Wiggins going to average 30 now. All right. Anything else on D'Lo? I will jump into our next guy. All right. I can always go back and answer a question. Let's make it happen here.
Screen the screen. Got it from. Oh, look at
this. Draymond. Yeah, man. I just thinking about, and then I linked it. If you go into the Draymond Tools video, and I was talking to somebody, and we had linked together. We were talking about a mic'd up YouTube of Draymond from, I don't know, it might have been 2 seasons ago or a season ago, where it was just the best of Draymond mic'd up. And my takeaway was just like, damn, man, like Kerr owes him like a little bit of his check, to be honest with you. Like, I really feel like that. And I mean, excuse me. But, I guess every team needs a guy like that, but he's amazing. His communication and the accountability that he holds the other guys to, and it just everything. I just think if he wasn't around, I'm not saying Kerr couldn't do it. I think it would just take a lot more energy. He couldn't, it couldn't, I don't know. But I'm glad that Kerr is healthy, man. It seems like watching him with Team USA and stuff, Kerr finally, we haven't heard anything about his health, in a while. And that's That's a good sign. That's a good sign, right? Here's the thing, man. Before Draymond got his bag and everything, let me play this scenario out for you. KD never gets hurt. We three-peat, and KD resigns. We three-peat, KD resigns, he's never hurt, and then we give Draymond the bag. He gets the same deal, more or less, okay? I'd be concerned. I'd be concerned just of complacency and him being in shape, at least in the regular season. That was a problem last season, clearly, right? But not now, man. Not under these circumstances, right? These are the circumstances that Draymond thrives under, right? And getting back into somewhat of an underdog role, a scorned role. I think both he and Steph, man, they're primed. They're primed. That's what I'm excited for the new blood and the young players, but I'm just as excited to see these two have fuck you seasons, right, to the rest of the league. And I've got some predictions. I've got some bold predictions for Draymond. Much like Steph, I feel, is going to have his highest average in assists, I think Draymond is going to have his highest point per game average. I think he's going to refine his shot. Now, don't get it twisted. I'm not saying he's going to be shooting where you want him shooting a lot, but I think that he's motivated, and I think that he's going to be shooting it at a respectable clip where they can't just leave him butt naked out there, right? And I think he's going to score more just given the situations on the floor that are naturally going to occur. You heard Kerr say that he's going to stagger Steph and D'Lo. He's going to always have one of them on the floor, and there's going to be a lot more pick and roll. That's just what it's going to be, right? All right, James, I appreciate you. That's just what it's going to be, right? And so I think that Draymond because he's such a smart player, he's going to understand that with this team dynamic, he's going to have to look to score more because, again, you're adding an elite passer to the mix. So Draymond's going to, one, benefit just from D'Lo's passing, and then he's just going to be in the mindset to finish the play more than create for others. He'll still, I'm not saying these are going to be drastic jumps. I'm just saying that there are going to be some changes. Zach says, say Draymond's skill set isn't as needed as much, like I said, if D'Lo really steps up. Could Steph replace Dre's leadership and intensity? Hell no. Hell no, right? And like, I love Steph, but I don't remember what video I was talking about it, but the fit and the chemistry, the synchronicity of our core guys of Steph, Clay, and Dre, they all fill in each other's kind of weaknesses. And I'm not like slighting them. In part, you develop weaknesses because you never had to develop them, right? But I think like Steph has gotten away with not being a vocal leader because he's played most of his career with Draymond, right? And Clay hasn't had to create because of, and it all syncs together. So I think Steph could do an admirable job, and it's going to be interesting to see him as the older statesman. I'm not saying it's like impossible, but I don't think any player in the league could. So it's not really a slight against Steph. I think he's such a unique dude, but his intangibles, intensity, and leadership, who has better of those things in the league? Right? You know what I mean? So no, I don't think he could. What do I think of him throwing the ball to sell the foul on Lowry in Game 6 to cost us the game? To be honest with you, I don't remember that specific play, so I don't think it meant much to me. I think to be honest with you, I was so devastated when Clay went down. To keep it a complete buck, I didn't want a Game 7, man. Call me, cowardly hearted, but at that point, I was waving the white flag. I didn't want to see any more casualties of war. I was so emotional that final, 5 minutes or whatever that was. I don't even remember it, man. I don't even remember it. Yeah, Steph, he isn't as far as the vocal guy, right? And you are or you're not. So yeah, I think we're going to see Draymond score more, right? And it'll be interesting because, like I said, if you have Steph and D'Lo kind of taking turns on ball, Draymond's not going to be asked to be a facilitator as much. And you saw the workout clips of him in the summer with D'Lo. He's as smart as it comes. He gets it. He's motivated. He's going to be in shape. And I think he's going to be like, he's just going to have it as a shooter and a scorer. Not that he's a scorer, but it helps so much when your mindset is aggressive to look to score. And I think that will help him score more points. We kind of saw it in that Portland series, right? Where he just kind of made up his mind. KD's out, and he knew he could attack and score. He was giving us like 17, 18 a game throughout that sweep, right? What up? What's going on, K. Adam? We are in the middle of talking with Dre, talking about Draymond. We've covered Steph, D'Lo, and we've moved on to Draymond and saying that I just think he's going to have his biggest scoring season we've seen out of him, out of necessity and out of motivation. I'm very excited to just see him bring the juice, man. All right, let's move on to the next guy I want to talk about here. Do I have?
Shumpert knocked it away. Paulie Stein with the block. Look at Shump. Good effort. And now it's finally taken by Sam.
Willie Cauley-Stein. I have this little delay. I'm watching my OBS, and then YouTube's on delay, and I think I have time, but I don't. He got paid. He's going to let everybody know why. I feel you. And I also think that the KD thing, right, and counting us out, this is a scenario where he thrives in, right? Zach saying here he knows so little about Willie. And that's what I wanted to lead with here in my notes. Again, I had a script that I converted to notes for this because I was going to do this kind of as a narration, but I just felt like changing it up. So after doing the doc series on him, when I do those doc pieces, it takes me a good 7 to 10 days. And for 2 or 3 days, I just try to read everything about the player from as early on as I can all the way up to current times. Every article and everything. A lot of the kids try to figure out who their parents were and stuff like that. What up? And so after learning about Willie Cauley-Stein, I got more excited. I've got high hopes for him. I really do, man. And here's the thing. When he came out of Kentucky, his selling point was his defense and his motor, right? And I really believe that him being in Sacramento kind of took the battery out of his back. Now, you can't put it all on the organization and franchise, but just learning about the dude and who he is, and he seems to be one of those people that thrives off the energy around him. He can take it on for the good and the bad, right? And so again, he's obviously he is going to be, Willie Cauley-Stein, the best vertical spacer we've had on this Steve Kerr-led team. And I know a lot of people kind of use the JaVale McGee comparison, and I'm at the risk of repeating myself. Look, JaVale had crazy athleticism, length. JaVale's motor is better than Willie Cauley's. JaVale has, if you want to talk about motor to size ratio, that's JaVale's thing. Like he is, for a guy that big, he has a crazy motor, right? But it comes at a cost of his timing is bad, his footwork is kind of bad, but he gets away with it because he's so athletic and he tries so hard. Willie is the full package athlete. I mean, remember I talked about him being a receiver in football, and his vertical spacing, the pick and roll game, it's going to be fun. I'm not really concerned about the offense, right? But it's the defense, man. We've lost Sean. We've lost Iguodala. We've lost KD. We don't have Clay, right? And so we have never been in this need of a rim protector to kind of clean up our perimeter defense and clean up the mistakes of our guards, because there's going to be some, right? And so, you know, that's something that, again, coming out of college, Willie Cauley-Stein, that was his calling card. He's a defensive, super athletic big that will run the floor high motor, and then it's just kind of phased away. And shout out my guy that I kind of hoop with at LA. And I was talking to him about it. He said it's because he's trying to show that he can do other things, and I think he nailed it with that. Is he's trying to be like the all-around big, like, oh, I can face up and dribble and pass and create. And his skills are all right, but I think it took away from getting back to his bread and butter. But I think there are several reasons why we should be optimistic. Signs a one-year deal, discount deal, right, to get that big payday. So motivated by money. Keep it real. That's the greatest motivation for most of these dudes. This is a Ron Adams specialty. Taking a guy with all the physical tools and putting it together on the court. Then the influence of Draymond. We just got done talking about his intangibles and his leadership, right? And then if you go follow him on social media, he is super hyped to be a Warrior, man. He is super hyped to be a Warrior, playing in the Chase Center, being on the national spotlight, being on the national scene. He's been hidden in Sacramento. So I think you factor in all those things. I in a perfect storm, he's an all defensive center. And get this, I think Willie Cauley-Stein could be an all-star. Like I'm not saying put your money down on it. I'm not saying go tell your friends about it, right? But I'm just saying because of the center position, right? If the all-star team decides to just do away with positions, then no, he's not. But if they stick to that, having a certain amount of true centers at the position in the all-star game, like if he can play like he's capable of playing on both ends of the floor, and we get up and run and make it a track meet, and he's blocking shots and rebounding, he's going to have the numbers. He's going to have the numbers, man. So that's a perfect storm. But let's also be real and say there is a world where, for whatever reason, he doesn't activate. He's not inspired. He doesn't play, and Looney eats up all his meaningful minutes. Right. And we'll talk Looney here. We'll talk Looney here next. But there is a world where, Kerr doesn't, he's not making his rotations. He gets late. He sticks to the bad habits he's learned, and he's out of there during crunch time, and Looney's eating up those minutes. Right. Let me catch up on these real quick. Right. Yeah, I know. All these Instagram workout warriors. Right. And we're going to talk, Adam, we're going to talk here about Loon. And so you see the order I'm going in. I think I haven't read this. This isn't like, don't quote me on this. I believe Willie was told he would start coming here with that deal because he could have got paid quite a bit more elsewhere. So I think that it was part of the negotiations. Like, yeah, you'll start, because we all know it's about really who finishes, right? Let's go into Loon. $9 million offer. I'm just reading that. Yeah, he took a discount. So it's always encouraging when a guy is somewhere he wants to be, right? And motivated. It's just, there's perfect storm stuff, right? I had to reuse that Loon insert with the dry slow. It's just my thing for him, right? But the Adam was saying about Loon and what he worked on. I think for Looney, I'm gonna keep this. I don't have a whole lot to say. Just coming off that tools of Looney thing. Clearly, he has more skills than he's shown as far as handling, passing, and shooting. I'd like to see, this is something I'm working with my girls in their basketball game, is I'd like to see, I think what Looney needs to work on is mental. I think he needs to work on his mental confidence and aggression, right? And just pulling the trigger. So I think he has all the skills. Don't get me wrong. You always want to stay in shape and continue to work, but I think his main focus should be on his confidence on the court and his aggression. And it's kind of been a steady climb. I think we're seeing it, especially if you look at how he's dressing now, right? Loon got a little bit of a swag, right? He got a little bit of swag. And so it's slowly progressing. And now that he's kind of an elder statesman on the team, I think we're going to see him more confident. And I think it's going to happen. But if he can pull the trigger, shoot the pick and pop, the shot's there, man. He shoots it. I'll say it like this. There are a lot worse shots and releases from bigs around the league that are taking way more shots than Looney, right? So he's just got to take it. Again, having D'Lo, you know what? Looney might be the biggest beneficiary from D'Lo on the floor. You point to Willie Cauley, right? Because that's the natural role guy and that plays above the rim. But a pick and pop game with Looney and D'Lo he plays with a pace. You know what I'm saying? They're going to find each other's rhythm and pace, and it's going to be exciting. But if he can shoot the ball and stretch it to the corners, what it's going to do is it's going to allow Kerr more versatility in the lineup, and it'll allow him to go big at times, where you got Cauley Stein at the 5 and Looney at the floor, and you got enough spacing, but then you can play a team like Denver or Portland who's got 2 bigs on the floor. LA is going to have 2 bigs on the floor quite a bit, I assume. I mean, think about LA's front line. If you got Braun, AD, and JaVale out there at a certain time, or Dwight, right? So there is a kind of a trend of teams staying big more often. I think they're going to try to do that because that's what the Raptors did in the finals at times. And for us to do that, you know, unless Amari Spellman is on the keto diet, it's going to take Looney pulling the trigger. Let's see here. Yeah, man, that Isaiah, what he fought through, I wonder, remember, so what was it, like a fractured rib or something? It was something nasty that you knew he was in pain and he trucked through it. They said he was going to be out. He came back. I wonder how much that had to do with KD coming back. And it's one of those things where no one has to say it, right? But Looney's out there playing with a broken rib, cracked chest plate or whatever it is, and Durant's sitting out day 30-something with a calf strain. Now, hindsight, you know, obviously it probably wasn't the right decision. It wasn't the right decision. But I just wonder if Looney's decision affected Durant's ultimate decision. Was it a collarbone? Yeah. I remember when I was a kid, when hammocks were really popular, like every one of my friends broke their collarbone falling out of a hammock. It was just like a thing, 6-month period of time. Oh, no, I watched the Rico Hines stuff. I love that stuff. Because Rico Hines is one of the pickup summertime things where they actually do play somewhat hard. You watch like some of these other courts, the Black Ops courts where Melo and all that stuff. If you pay attention, they're kind of like letting each other get off in those. And the Rico Hines is, don't get me wrong, it's not super intense, but I think it's more functional. I think it's a little more realistic intensity. How are the Warriors going to guard more prolific small forwards in the league? Will they mostly use Draymond? Well, yeah, I mean, if they can, it's going to be, I'll be honest with you too. I don't know how many of you've turned on that 2K20, and I like the game. I like how it feels adjusting to it. But one thing that was super noticeable for me in my playing style was I had a much harder time stopping opposing teams, because it's like you usually always had 2 or 3 stoppers out there, whether it's Ig, KD, Draymond, right? And now the offense is fun, but it was noticeable for me in 2K having those 2 guards in particular out there. The defense is rougher. But as far as that goes, I think that we really need, I'll get to who it is later. We really need one of these young dudes to step up and be able to play a good 20 minutes a night and contribute as a defender. And I'll get to that here soon, right? But let's be honest, man, it's going to be, I think the mentality is going to be to outscore teams in the regular season. Really do. You don't think Houston has what it takes to win it all, but could definitely struggle defending. Yeah. No, yeah, have you felt it's funny you say that, Zach, because that's who I was playing in 2K. It was Russ and Harden. I was like, dude, I cannot stop these boys. And to be fair, I was learning the new feel of the game, but I was like, geez. But yeah, I don't know if how fast of a pace they're gonna play, and yeah, it's gonna be interesting. We're gonna need some of these young dudes to be able to contribute, and let's move on and see what else do I have here. So we were on Looney. Do I have any more thoughts? No. Okay. That graphic didn't come together great there, but I guess so. As I had stated a little bit ago, I feel like Willie Cauley was promised the starting spot, right? And so the question is, who's going to be the starting small forward? It leads right into your question about who is going to. And if you look at Kerr's history, you feel like it's going to be McKinney, right? I think we all think that Alfonso Kerr is old school in the sense that he does like to use seniority, and it works. A pecking order is necessary to control egos and kind of keep people in check, I believe. And so I think the job is McKinney. He has a defined NBA skill that's rare, and his rebounding is freakish, right? But defensively, man, McKinney, I don't like at this. He's like 26 or 27, and he's such a reactionary guy defensively. I don't think he's ever going to get it. I don't think he's ever going to get it defensively. He just reacts. He doesn't understand spacing, gapping, or angles really defensively. And so that's the problem with that. Alec Burks is another possibility, but if you look at his career and the type of game he has, he's much more suited as kind of a bench scorer, a microwave scorer. Burks he needs the ball in his hand a little bit more to be effective. Very athletic and capable of getting the line and coming in and getting us. Like if we can't get buckets or the second unit struggling, give him the ball, ISO, and he can get you buckets. And so he's better suited for that role, even though like in a vacuum, he may be a better player than McKinney. His skill set isn't what the starting unit needs, right? So I don't think that Burks is really in contention for that starting spot. Now, Glenn Robinson III would really have to show out. I think that's going to be one of the battles in the preseason in training camp is Glenn Robb versus McKinney. Can Glenn Robb do enough to take that spot? Because he has a more versatile game. He has more tools in the bag than McKinney, but he doesn't have, like, if you were looking at like ratings like in 2K, right? Like Glenn Robinson III, all his numbers are like a 6, right? But McKinney's rebounding is an 8, right? He has that one thing that kind of pulls him ahead that's defined. But I'm not going to front like I've seen a lot of Glenn Robb, but I know that he has a more versatile package. That's going to be a battle. Now, I don't know how many of you heard that we have a camp invite of Marquise Chris. I think he was like the 4th pick from the Suns years ago. I've watched him quite a bit. The dude has an attitude problem, plain and simple, a maturity and an attitude problem. He's physical. He's super athletic. And I like it just because it's a low risk, high reward. And I think part of it is to push the intensity of the small forward battle in camp. They don't want Alonzo thinking, oh, I have a guaranteed contract, or this spot's mine. These guys thinking they have their spot. Bringing him in to kind of maybe bring up the intensity during training camp in the preseason and not having to rely on Draymond to do that, right? So I don't know. It's a long shot for him, and I'm not so sure that it's more about just having an energetic kind of a tough guy out there for camp, right? Let's see here. All right.
Thanks, noob. This guy gets it.
The rookies. I like that graphic, though. That shit was fire. Hopefully these go through smooth. All right. Let's pump the brakes on Smiley. And I say that to myself as well. I was hyped. It was super fun in the summer. I watched more of him. I thought about him. I looked at some of the numbers. Like his athleticism and his mentality pop. They popped in Summer League. It was like, oh, this kid's athletic. He's aggressive. He's got a mean streak. I love it. If he's really 19, I know he looks like, but he's like 28 maybe. But no, I think he is. If you listen to him talk and you read what his quotes and stuff, he is young. But here's the thing. He is on paper the prototype 4-5 athletic stretch big, European big, right? But if you look at his numbers and his shot, it looks good. Like I think as he learns pace and rhythm, the shot will be good enough. But right now, he's really not knocking down the shot. Not even in Santa Cruz. He was shooting like, I want to say like 30% from 3, right? So he's 19, and he's going to be a foul magnet. That's just what it's going to be. He's going to be a foul magnet. Hopefully, he gets stints, right? And I think he will have the ability. He'll be the fan favorite that just gets Chase Center to erupt when he makes a play, right? But he's gonna pick up as many fouls as minutes as he plays, I think, if he gets some time. But overall, I'm hyped. I'm excited. But I think it's a ways away. He's gonna have to learn to play with some pace. And then the other alarming thing I didn't like was he said, I hate to play defense. He said, I know I gotta play it, but I hate to play it. And that's just not great, right? You don't love hearing that, you know. And but the reality of it is, a lot of players feel that way. But maybe him showing his age, like that's not something you really want to say, right? Eric Pascal. I gotta hear it announced a couple more times, man. But from everything that I read and hear, I think they're very pleased with that pick. Mike Dunleavy Jr. has now been promoted to assistant GM, but he spent the majority of last season on the East Coast scouting Eric Pascal, Jordan Poole, and the East Coast players, D'Angelo Russell. He got to see a bunch of times. I'm alluding to the Athletic article about him and his progression. But if you read between the lines and even the lines, they really like him. And I think that it showed when they shut him down in Summer League. Remember, I don't even know what the injury was. It was something lame. But they shut him down after like 1 or 2 games. And I think that was in part because they were like, all right, we know that you're ready to contribute. He's 22. 3 years under Jay Wright, Villanova. I brought this up in Summer League. Look, the jumper is funky. He kicks his knee up. There's a lot of elevation on it. I'd like to see, when it's a long-range jump shot, I'd like to see him have a more of a set shot at some point. But the key is that he believes in it. If you watch him shoot, he believes in it. And that's almost half the battle at times if it's not too mechanically funky, right? But I think where he'll really shine is when the ball's swung to him on the weak side, and he'll shoot it good enough that a defender has to close out, right? He'll rip through and he can attack the rim. He has bounce and strength. A lot of guys have one or the other. A lot of guys have bounce. Let's that kid in Miami, Derrick Jones Jr. He's got a ton of bounce, right? But he doesn't have the strength to take contact. And this dude has both. And so hopefully he can shoot a respectable percentage from the free throw line, because I think we'll see him get to the free throw line every time he steps on the floor, right? And then I also like the fact that his best friend growing up was Donovan Mitchell, because frankly, it means that his character is probably similar, right? Any questions here? All right, I'll keep it moving. Last but not least out of the rookies, Jordan Poole. I know y'all are excited about this dude, man. I know y'all are excited.
That boy has the juice.
Right? Just straight up. Straight up. And I won't even front. Initially, I was nervous that it was Swaggy 2.0. I was nervous just because of his look, right? His look, he kind of had, doing extra with his style. And then his release, his shot, his release off the move it looks similar to Nick Young's. He's got a fade, but it's buttery smooth. And he is what you just call a natural. He's a natural. Everything is easy to him. He's just a natural basketball player. A lot of guys are athletes, right? Or they've trained their skill up. The dude is a natural basketball player. And I think that can fool you into thinking that he may not be playing hard, or his motor isn't great, or his effort, but it's just smooth. Everything comes easy to him, right? And so I think that his playmaking ability is what flashed at Summer League, right? We knew the shooting is the headliner. That's what his calling card was coming out of Michigan, 2 years there, right? But I saw a little bit of dog. I saw a little bit of intensity. And then this is, again, something that Dunleavy alluded to in scouting him. I believe they said he went and saw him play 10 times during his, that final season at Michigan. You saw it in Summer League. He just understands the game. He's smooth, man. And so I'm excited. I hope, one of my hopes for him, though, is that Kerr gives him somewhat of a longer leash, because he is swag. You combine the natural feel and the swagger and confidence, and he can be an electric player, man, but it can't be muddled. It can't be, he can't be on too tight of a leash. And so that's my hope for him with Kerr. Let me catch up on any of these questions here. No, I don't think he is, man. I don't think he is. Yeah, Nick. No doubt, man. I effed up, and YouTube changed their stuff up, and I started late and it messed up. But it'll take a little bit of time to archive, and then it'll be up for the week for sure. So you can get back to it whenever, man. But I appreciate you hopping on. No, I don't think Poole will. Let me elaborate on this. What would the lineup look like during Poole's minutes? Here's the thing. So let's get into this, because going back to D'Lo, and I'm talking here as Clay is out here. We're talking towards February probably, right? I think it's super important that either Poole or Jacob Evans is able to play like 20 minutes a night, right? And push D'Angelo. Like, oh, D'Angelo, you ain't with it tonight? We'll put in Poole. I think there's a possibility that Poole steals minutes from D'Lo. I really do. I do. I think that he's had enough college experience, right? The confidence, the swagger. I don't know, man. Maybe, I don't know. You guys know me well enough. Like, I'm not over optimistic. I can be a negative Nancy, for a lack of a better term, but I'm optimistic about our rookies. I think Smiley, I don't know if he's going to give us anything this year. I think but maybe some highlight dunks or some fun plays to kind of just talk about. But as far as Pascal and Poole go, I think they're going to be, and I think they need to be somewhat of contributors. They need to be able to play each night. Now, not 25 minutes, but they need to come in and play spot minutes each night, or Kerr needs to be able to be comfortable to play them each night if you just look at the construction of this roster, right? This gets me to the X factor. This dude's the X factor, man. Jacob Evans. I never thought I'd ever be saying that. I never thought I'd be saying, hey, our X factor is Jacob Evans, sitting here right we're at the end of September. And Zach, this kind of goes to your question with Poole. So losing Sean and losing Andre, Jacob Evans will never be anything. I'd never compare him to Andre Iguodala. That's blasphemous. But we need him to play Andre's role, right? And they moved him to point guard. He was the best player on Summer League, for our Summer League. Let's be real. He maybe not be the most exciting player, but you can see how much more comfortable he was on ball. He's healthy. And the defense, frankly, in the little bit of minutes I saw from him in his rookie year, I saw what was advertised defensively. He's in the right spot at the right times. He's very smart. He's strong. He isn't as long. His frame isn't as big as I would have hoped it would have been. But I see the defensive things. I think the reason he could never sniff the floor was offensively. Now, they said he had a thumb injury and it affected his release. He came into Summer League with a different release. His trajectory, he was getting arc on it. So if he can knock down the weak side shot, I think we're going to see a lot of Jacob Evans in that Iguodala, Sean Livingston role. Like, if D'Lo and Steph are getting torched in the backcourt, let me see here. Is this dying? Oh, I thought I was losing the stream here. I think that he could be the X factor, man. If he can come in and be a defensive wing and then not hurt us too bad offensively, right? Like, keep the spacing, keep the other team accountable. I think he can be the X factor, man. And so it will be interesting to see. You talk about Jordan Poole in the lineups. I think that it will be a thing of, what do you want? Do you want the offense or do you want the defense? Are you going to go Evans? Maybe, or are you going to go Poole, who's just a much more natural offensive player? And hopefully both of these dudes play well enough that it makes it a tough decision for Steve Kerr, right? Like, it's not an easy decision. Not one of them doesn't end up in the doghouse, right? And they're pushing each other throughout the year, man. So, yeah, man, it's going to be an exciting season, man. It's going to be an exciting season. But yeah, man, what'd I go here? This has been an hour, man. This has been an hour. Hopefully y'all enjoyed it. And those of you that tune in later, you know what I'm saying? It'll be smooth and all that, working out the kinks. I thought it was good. Before I hop off, if there's any other questions or I missed anything, you just tuned in. My bad, man. It'll be archived. It'll be archived here. YouTube, I don't know how long it takes depending on how long the video was, but it'll be archived and then it'll be up and then you can watch it just like it was a normal YouTube video, man. Do you think we have too many guards? No, I don't. I think that I think if they all pan out and they all can contribute, then maybe that's a thing. But I think that the way the league's being played now, where it's so guard and wing dependent, that's easy thing to change. I didn't really mention Spellman. And what did y'all remember when we picked him up, when we traded him? And I said that my first takeaway was like, yo, he's similar to Mo Buckets. Like, he isn't Mo, but like that's the mold of player he is. And sure enough, that's what Kerr had said recently. Like, yo, I see some similarities. So we'll see with that and Marquise Chris. And I think that Kerr, we're going to learn a lot about Steve Kerr this year. I think we're going to learn a lot about Steve Kerr this year. And I think the roster, you asked, do we have too many guards? I think that, the first 20 games, because of just the narrative of who we've been the last 5 seasons, I think we're going to be in trade rumors throughout the year, in particular if it starts off kind of rough. But, we'll see. How do you think the defense of the guards will be against teams like Houston? I think that, again, that's why Jacob Evans is my X factor. I think that they're going to need him to – I think he's just going to have to play. I think he's going to have to play because he is, I want to say, our best guard defender right now. That's kind of crazy to say, but I think he is. And I think that it's going to be – the scheme's going to – I think we're going to have to change the scheme. I don't think we're going to be able to switch everything, and we're going to need Willie Cauley-Stein to protect the rim. We may see some of that drop coverage, right, off pick and rolls where the big drops. And again, Kerr is going to be tested here. He's going to have to remain dynamic. It was such a luxury to just roll out these switch everything lineups, right? It took all the thought process out of the situation. And so there's going to be some kinks to iron out, and we're going to need Willie Cauley-Stein to protect the rim, Draymond protect the rim. I don't really see any other. We are lacking rim protection, really, because it's like if Cauley-Stein is in foul trouble, right? Draymond can, but like Looney's not really a shot blocker. So I think that would be something, that I circle and am concerned about, because to be perfectly honest with you, the perimeter, they're going to struggle to defend. Our offense is going to have to win games for us. That's really what it's going to come down to. But yeah, man, as I wrap this up, I'm not really into, I did kind of leave Clay out. I expect Clay back after All-Star break, right? And I think the mindset of Clay, I think of his mentality, his ability to be in self too, of his unconscious mind, if you will, that he is going, it won't take him long, right? It won't take him long. And there's not a whole lot to say. Clay is Clay. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think we all know his personality, and all I can say is I think his personality and his mentality will lead to a quick recovery, not physically, which I assume will happen, mentally. I don't think it will take him long to gain his confidence, right? But as far as the record goes, there's so many variables, right? As far as when does Clay come back, the roster turnover is crazy. I don't have a record for you. I expect the team to make the playoffs. And I expect for this to be the most fun I've had thus far covering the team. What is this, year 4 for me, I believe? I really think this is going to be fun, man, because it's, let's be real. It became kind of mundane with, as spoiled as that sounds, for the last couple years, right? But the regular season was kind of and it was kind of just talking about the same thing over and over again. There's going to be so much to talk about, so much to cover, so much dynamic moving parts. There'll probably be trades, man. It's and then you just look at the landscape of the league, man, and it's going to be crazy, man. So I'm excited. I want to appreciate y'all for rocking with me through the summer. Y'all made it through. I feel like I provided decent content, man. I really tried to provide unique stuff throughout the summer, man. So I appreciate y'all sticking with me. I have a lot of stuff planned as far as just getting better within the breakdowns. I'm constantly striving to get better, pound at this craft, man, and the support is everything. It's everything to me, man. So what are we? We're the 28th of September. I don't know if there'll be something in between from here and now, and then maybe a podcast or something. We'll see. And then the preseason games are going to jump off, man. And it's back to covering stuff. And again, I have a lot of I won't say a lot, but I have some cool stuff to add to my breakdowns and just continue to grow, man. So I appreciate y'all, man. I'm out.
I've been winning so long, it's like alchemy.